Hey guys, this is Ryan from Rhino's Home Solutions, and today we're talking about 3 important tips to help you start on your self-employment journey as a beginner. So we're not going to muck around, we're going to get straight into it. The first one is credibility. So as a self-employed person, you're going to be in people's homes. You're going to be, talking with customers regularly, and your most important asset will be your credibility, and it will be the trust that your customer has for you. So this starts with just genuinely wanting to do the right thing by your customer and not cutting corners and doing the job correctly. And also just telling the truth. Whenever I personally, I started out as a handyman. I'm now transitioning into doing TV mounting as a specialty. However, initially, when there was moments where I didn't know exactly what to do, or if I didn't know how to do a job, I would just be honest with the customer and I would say, I don't know how to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Most customers, they just respect your honesty and they respect the fact that you were able to be transparent and open with them, And then that way, when you do say to them, hey, I can do this job, they're more likely going to trust you when you do say you can do it because you were so honest and vulnerable enough to tell them that you could not do the initial job. So yeah, your credibility and the trust that you have with the customer is so important because they're going to hire you down the line 3 or 4 more times and put money in your bank account. So do the right thing by them. And, obviously what goes hand in hand with this is just being good at small talk. If the customer is an extroverted and chatty person, then chat with them and have the ability to have these conversations and show interest into them. But however, you're going to be working, so obviously you want to be able to focus on the task at hand. So sometimes healthy boundaries is important if the customer won't leave you alone as well. But yeah, it's important to have that trust, and what goes along with that is just being able to have healthy conversations with your customer and knowing a little bit about their life and what's important to them, which hopefully as a self-employed person will come naturally to you. The second one that we're going to talk about is specializing. Now, I've only really just got my head around this one myself because for about 2 years I was doing a bit of everything, and I still do a little bit of everything, about 20%, although now 80% of what I do is specifically TV mounting, which is going very well. So the reason you need to specialize is because if you are trying to do everything and you're a jack of all trades, you need to buy hundreds of different tools, and you're also always having to educate yourself. You're having to go on YouTube and learn how to do this, how to do that. And then you realize you have to buy a new tool and you have to do this. And then you buy a tool and you're only using the tool maybe once a year. And maybe the tool costed more than what the job was actually going to pay out. So it's not helpful to do everything. I would say early on at the start, if you are just trying to go, 100% full-time work for yourself, then doing a little bit of everything is good, just to get your foot in the door and just to get started. However, as you start bringing money in and you want to be more of a business rather than just a, self-employed jack of all trades type of person, then you need to specialize into something. And then that way you can target your marketing and target a certain type of audience as well, which is important. Then lastly, the third one, and I would say this is the one that helps you have a sustainable self-employed business at the start, is leverage. And obviously when you're talking about leverage, you're thinking about maybe employees and things like that, but I am not referring to that. I know that you're a beginner, you're starting as a self-employed person for the first time, and you want something that's, tactical that you can do from the start. You're not thinking about employees. So the leverage I'm talking about is just being able to fill the gaps. So what obviously, when you start your self-employment business and you're starting to work for yourself, you're going to need to set up an ABN, Australian Business Number, or if you're international, not sure how it works. I live in Australia, so that's how we do it. And you need someone that you can subcontract to. So as a tradesperson or a home service person, I'm sure you know someone in the trades. And it doesn't matter if you're an electrician trying to go out on your own and working for yourself. If you have a friend that has a business where he's working full time and he's a gardener and they're mowing lawns and doing whippersnipping and whatever else, you can subcontract to him, 1 to 2 days a week. Why can't you do that? This is a way for you to have sustainable income while you're building up your clientele. So it doesn't matter what it is, you just need someone, you need to know someone in the industry. Ideally, it would be the exact same industry as yourself. And also ideally, it would be extremely flexible, because sometimes you don't know if you're going to be busy on a certain day until the day gets there. You know how it is, you wake up in the morning and you got a customer that hasn't potentially locked in the job 100%, and then you call them up, they're not getting back to you, and then right then and there, you've got an entire day free. And what that is an entire day where you're not making income. Maybe you can go out, hand out flyers. I mean, you can do mailbox drops or whatever it is. But ideally, because we all have bills, we got to pay rent, we got to pay our mortgage, we got to feed the kids, whatever it might be. We have to make money. So ideally, you'll have someone that you can call at the drop of a hat and say, "Hey, can I come fill in today? And do a day's work." And if you're anything like me, I've had 2 different friends that I was able to do that with, because I've had good rapport with these friends. And one of them was a building supervisor at a construction site, and then the other one was a gardener. And I was able to call these people probably on the day and just say, "Hey, you got anything for me?" And they would say yes. Like most of the time I would be able to fill in a day. And then that way I can make my, $300 for the day and still make income. And then that night I'd be trying to line up jobs for the next day, and this is very early on when it's very hustle and bustle, and you haven't got sustainable, marketing in place and things like that. But I would say being able to subcontract your time to someone that can bring you on with maybe a few minutes notice is absolutely ideal. And if you didn't have that flexibility to do that, then maybe you can ask them, "Hey, can we lock in every single Monday and Tuesday of the week?" And then that way, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you can focus on your jobs and your self-employment business and build up your clientele. And then you've still got the income coming in for the 2 days a week, Monday, Tuesday. And you just need to have the negotiation ability, the skills to communicate and ask these things from people. And most people, if they've got a busy business and they like you, they're happy to bring you on, and they're happy to have the extra help around site. So they're the 3 tips. I hope they can be of assistance. If you have any more tips or you have any feedback about these 3 tips, please leave a comment below. Cheers.